Tired of feeling tired? Done with diet culture? Overwhelmed by conflicting nutrition and fitness messages? Then join us, your hosts of the Nutrition Revolution podcast, as we take a deep dive into all things women's fitness and nutrition. I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Tabitha. And together we are debunking diet culture myths and giving you the tools you need to finally see the results you're looking for.
So Rail House was awesome.
It was so much fun. Our podcast launch party.
Yeah, I was
with DJ Bridge at Rail House in Dover.
I was so excited to see how many people showed up. And
it was a lot of
fun.
support from our community. Obviously, people are excited to have this resource available to them and see the value in it, which is encouraging for our dream that we have here.
Right. That's why we started it, right? It was to get into community, help people who have questions, but maybe haven't found the right coach or haven't found the right community to connect with. So it was cool.
And Rail House is such a great place. If you've not been there and you're local, go check it out. I don't know about your kids.
They're so nice.
Yeah. The owners, Kim and Donnie Legans, are fantastic. They really support all of the local small businesses. They do a lot of community outreach, and it's just a great place to take your family. My kids had a blast playing ping pong.
I was to say, my kids were running around doing cornhole. And night. Friends of ours that came brought their dog and just like hung out on the chairs and
pet friendly.
Yeah, it was fun. Mocktails, it was perfect.
Yeah, something for everybody. So definitely check it out if you're local. It was a great time. And big thanks to everybody that came out to support Kimberly and I and this dream that we have.
Yeah, it was also cool hearing feedback for people who have already listened to the episodes that were released. So yeah, that was cool. Keep sharing, keep supporting.
Absolutely. So one of the things we had like a episode suggestion box out where people could come up and write things they wanted to hear us talk about. And for the very first one of those suggestions that was given was a question about creatine and should women take creatine? Should women be using creatine? And I will just say yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think I love this question because I think that people are always surprised when I say that I use creatine.
Yes. I get the same too. Or when I first suggest it to clients in my one-on-one coaching, they're like, whoa, wait a second. That's like a steroid.
It's for bodybuilders. That's a drug. I don't want my muscles to be so big.
Right. I've even had clients are like, hey, my son wants to take this. What do you think? I'm kind of scared. Is it safe? And I think we should start out like, what is creatine? So creatine is a naturally occurring compound. It is produced by the body from amino acids, which are proteins. It's made primarily in your liver, your kidneys, and pancreas. And you can get it from food, primarily like animal products. So chicken, red meat, even some fish. But creatine plays a crucial role in energy production. So from the fitness, athletic side of things, it's really important for like short, intense bursts of exercise because it creates adenosine triphosphate, ATP, which is like metabolic currency. It is the energy for your working muscles and your cells. And so creatine helps us to work harder, longer.
I was going to say, so, break that down. So if you are working out, you want to have energy during those workouts, power in those workouts. And that ATP is basically the energy that's in those cells that wants to work hard for you. And so creatine does help create that energy in those cells.
Increases, the availability of the ATP for the workload. So from an athletic and fitness side of things, it is a performance enhancer, an ergogenic aid. So an ergogenic aid is anything that enhances your performance. And to the point of, is it safe or effective? One, creatine is a naturally occurring compound in the body that you can also get from food. So yes, it is the most studied ergogenic aid. There have been literally tens of thousands of studies done on creatine, and it is safe and effective in adults. There's a little less research in like children, teens and youth. No studies that show like adverse side effects or reactions, but definitely in adults, very well studied. Very little to no adverse side effects when it's the proper dosage and cycling. So yes, women should be using creatine. Yes, it's safe and effective. No, it is not an anabolic steroid or some other like drug.
Right. It's not building your muscle. It's not like you're not going to take this and then wake up with having these giant muscles. And I think that's what a lot of people are thinking, that creatine is a steroid, and it's not a steroid.
No. I mean, it will help enhance muscle protein synthesis, but you have to be taking higher doses and doing like real creatine, like loading. And that's usually more the bodybuilder route.
Right.
So for those of you that aren't interested in bodybuilding and are just worried about the health benefits of creatine and maybe a little extra performance enhancer, if you have goals, you want to do like micro dosing, creatine cycling versus like the heavy loading that like your bodybuilders are doing to help increase, muscle protein synthesis. And that's not what the average person is looking for. So like special populations and uses there. For women though, there are a lot of benefits for creatine. And that's where I think we can talk about some of the non-performance, like fitness related benefits, specifically like cognitive health. So brain function, and then the gut. So the potential cognitive benefits, there's a lot of research showing that it helps improve cognitive function, specifically mental fatigue when under stressful situations, during sleep deprivation or just like stressful seasons of life. So taking microdoses of creatine helps bolster your cognitive functioning, helping you feel more alert, getting rid of that brain fog. As far as the gut is concerned, so the mucosal lining of our gut is what keeps what we don't want in our gut from getting into our bloodstream.
Right.
All right. So it's that barrier between what's in our intestines and our gut and our bloodstream. And creatine is a protein that's essential for the integrity of the mucosal lining. So you need that there to help maintain a nice, strong mucosal lining to keep what needs to stay in your gut,
right,
and keep out
combating
of your bloodstream.
Leaky gut, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is also why it helps with cognitive function, right?
That's true too.
Everything's staying in your gut. It's not leaking in. You're not experiencing some of these, brain kind of issues, because you're going to have better gut, better sleep, which in return is better cognitive function.
I know some people have mentioned like concern about water retention, and it's true that creatine does draw water into our cells, but it's into the muscle cells, but it's intracellular. And so it's not fat.
Right. So I think what I try to tell people is it's not like you're, bloated on your cycle, or even this kind of like edema swelling kind of thing that's going to happen. Cause I think immediately people think I'm not going to have creatine because it's going to make my stomach distended and bloated. Like I'm,
and the number on the scale is going to go up, and they're kind of just scared.
And the number on the scale is going to go up, but that's when we say do like body measurements and things, or pay attention to how your clothing fits, or pay attention to, what your muscles look like, because that water retention is not the bloating water retention that you're thinking about. It's in the muscles. And so it's just going to make your muscles look nice.
I was literally just getting ready to say that. It
pretty
actually
muscles
enhances muscle tone and like the definition, so that you look more like athletic, that, you're working those muscles. And to that point too, like, as you're improving your body composition, the scale may not change the way that you would like it to.
Right.
I know women, we're so obsessed with just like that lower number on the scale. And that's probably another podcast episode.
We'll talk about fat loss and scale numbers.
Better body composition may translate into a number that looks different than what you would like on the scale. But you are actually healthier.
And you look better.
And
I think, so let's talk a little bit about the health benefits of creatine, because for our listeners, being female, one of the things we do want to address is bone health. And so creatine can help with that bone health. And I know one of the big things that as women age, we start to have bone issues where we're losing that bone density over time.
Yeah, higher risk of osteoporosis.
And so that osteoporosis is a big risk. I mean, if you look at the stats on women who are over the age of 70 who fall and break their hip, like it's not a great outcome. And so you're then laid up and you're not getting strong and you can't move your body. And so creatine actually helps with that bone health. So I always suggest it for, some of my older aging clients of start taking creatine, because this will help with your bone health and they need that. And so anything to combat osteoporosis or losing muscle mass or losing bone health throughout our aging process, especially as we get into those menopause or post-menopause things, I think it's super important. And why not try it? The risk is very, very low of anything happening to you. So why not just give it a try and see what happens for you?
Yeah.
I've experienced, I take it pretty much every day. When I remember, and I just toss it into my smoothie, and I have not had any of the gut issues. I haven't even really experienced any of the like weight gain issues either. And I have, energy when I'm working out. I feel stronger. My muscles look fine. I just have experienced good benefits from taking creatine. And I was unsure. I had to do a lot of research on it before I started taking it, because I was like, well, I don't know anything about creatine. Is this important? Is this something that I should be doing? And then when I read the research, I was like, why aren't more people telling us to take this? Yeah. That was what was shocking. Well, take it.
The research is very limited to the world of like sports nutrition, which then isn't translated well into mainstream nutrition information or diet culture. I remember in one of the sports nutrition classes that I was taking when working on my master's, creatine got brought up, and I had a lot of misconceptions about it. And it was just like totally eye-opening, mind-blowing when I realized like, oh, the health benefits are so beyond getting swole.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's not just, for bros at the gym or the bodybuilders, that there are real health benefits for women, especially in the peri and postmenopausal season of life. And it ultimately comes down to how much you're taking, like your dosing, your loading, your cycling,
and how often
protocol
you're taking,
that you're doing. And to that point, I would with my one-on-one clients, I give them like a personalized creatine scheduling. But you can, if you are someone that is looking to really enhance your performance and build bigger muscles, you can do big like loading phases where you're doing like 20 total grams a day, but you're breaking it up over like 4 doses, per day for like 5 to 7 days. But that's not always necessary to even still, if you are like, I would like to improve my body composition and grow some more muscle, you don't need to do that loading phase. You can just do like micro dosing. So like 3 to 5 grams a day, in general, for the cognitive benefits, the gut health, strengthening bones and maintaining the bone density and the health of your bones as you age, without like bulking or having some of the uncomfortable side effects.
Yeah. So there are some side effects that some people have experienced. I know my husband was taking creatine, and he was taking it first thing in the morning with his coffee, and he was having like the gut issues, but he also had this where his face felt like hot. Like he was just having like a reaction to it.
How much was he taking? Was he doing
5
like
grams? It was just the scoop.
Oh, he was just doing a scoop. Okay.
Yeah. So he was taking just, the normal recommendation, but for him, it was just creating like something was off. He could feel something was off. And so he quit taking it for a while. And then I, did some research of like, all right, what can we do to get him to be able to take the creatine? So we looked at sourcing and made sure that he was getting the water
wash, creatine
water wash
monohydrate.
creatine.
Yeah, that's because there's 2 different washes for listeners to understand that the way that creatine monohydrate is produced either through a water wash or an acid base. And the acid base uses the chemicals to isolate the creatine monohydrate, turn it into that powder, whereas the water wash or the water base uses just water. And if you are someone that's like, hey, I've tried creatine, even if it was just microdosing and it bothered you, look at the sourcing and look for the way that it was processed and look for water washed or water-based creatine monohydrate. Yeah. And that may be more tolerable, as well as also cycling from it. So a lot of my clients, and even for myself, I'm not like an every single day with it. Lots of times I'll personally do like 2 weeks on, a week off. So cycling through it with micro doses of creatine.
Yeah. So I think that sourcing does matter. Going in and just getting, random creatine from the grocery store might not work for you. So definitely look at some sourcing. So the sourcing for him, we made sure he got a water wash creatine, and then I started microdosing it for him in like his smoothies at lunchtime. And what we figured out is if he had food on his stomach before he took the creatine, he was okay. But if he had it on an empty stomach, that's when it was creating some of those effects. So there can be, a little bit of play with it and see,
absolutely.
If you're experiencing some like weird gut gastrointestinal things, try having it after you eat some food. There's also, there's these camps of people who say eat it take it before you work out, take it after you work out. But really, a lot of these studies show that it really doesn't matter as long as you're getting it in, pretty regularly. And I don't take it every day. I take it when I can remember it. And I just started with 5 grams, and that's pretty much what I've stuck with, because a lot of the studies and a lot of the research is on 5 grams of creatine a day for women. And so that's what I've been sticking to. And that's usually what I have my clients do too, is about 5 grams a day.
Yeah, that's one scoop. And so, 3 to 5 grams is the recommendation of microdosing.
Yeah.
So sometimes half a scoop, you can start there, work up to a full scoop, and then, see how you tolerate it, cycle off if you feel like you need a week off. If you are someone that already has lower functioning kidneys, you may want to consult with your doctor before you start doing a daily microdosing. And you may even want to cycle through it where you have a period of time where you're taking the microdose, and then you have a period of time where you cycle off of it, not because creatine is inherently harmful or will further damage your kidneys, but there's lots of factors why someone might have low functioning kidneys, and then they just need to be more mindful and aware of that. But generally, creatine is safe and effective for most populations, and a lot of health benefits outside of just
working out, and
of just muscle health and being faster and stronger and having greater performance in your workouts. So I think that, circling back, yes, women should be taking creatine. It's beneficial, and you got to just play around with it and see what works for you.
Yeah. Do you have any specific creatine brands that you like? Do you take a certain brand every time, or do you kind of buy whatever you can find?
No, I like the Momentous.
Okay.
Creatine. Yeah, it's a third party verified. So I'm really big on, are my supplements third party verified, meaning that manufacturer, that company,
it's only creatine in there,
someone else to check and make sure that, because a lot of companies that have their own supplements, they outsource various ingredients to make up whatever supplement may be. So when it's third party verified and tested, they make sure it can give you peace of mind that what you're taking,
what it is.
And doesn't have anything extra that's not listed. Or
if you open up your creatine container and it's yellow or not just a bright white,
be a problem.
That's a problem. So your creatine, I think it's important to know, when you open up your creatine, it should just be a white, powder, flavorless,
looks like powdered sugar,
scentless powder, just adding that in there, and it dissolves with a lot of stuff. And also, it's not heat sensitive, so you can throw it in your coffee and you'll be fine. Some people say that throwing it in their coffee gives them an even better boost in the gym, so it just kind of hits their system right away. They combine
combo,
creatine and caffeine. So make sure you don't have.
And then they're juiced, running around
before you do that.
You might need to experiment with it. Some people handle it really well. So other people need to have more food with it, or do it later in the day,
but I think it's worth a try. And I think especially as women who are in the aging population, adding in that creatine can really help with your bones. And I think that is something you really, really, really want to pay attention to. And then also it can help with cognitive function, which, as we age, that's one of those fears, is that you're going to start forgetting things. And, so it has its benefits. So I say try it.
Yeah, try it. Let us know how you do on it.
Yeah, and thanks for the question, because I think that was good. And if you guys do have other questions, you can email us or just reach out to us and ask those questions. We love to answer what our community actually wants to know.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks for spending your time with us. If you found this podcast helpful, we would love for you to share it with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe on your podcast platform. If you have nutrition or fitness questions you want answered on future episodes, we would love to hear from you. You can submit these questions to our email, thenutritionrevolutionpodcast@gmail.com, and follow us on Instagram @thenutritionrevolutionpodcast.